Have you ever seen a menorah glowing with all 9 candles lit? It's beautiful, but how does someone actually make one of those shiny metal menorahs? Today we're going to watch metal get super hot and melty, see how it gets poured into special molds, and find out why there are 9 branches instead of 8. By the end, you'll know exactly how a menorah goes from liquid metal to a sparkling decoration ready for Hanukkah. Welcome to Goalie's PIP Academy. So let's start at the very beginning. A menorah doesn't start out looking shiny and beautiful. It starts as chunks of metal, like brass or silver. These metals are tough and hard, kind of like rocks. But here's the cool part. When you heat them up really, really hot, something amazing happens. The melting process. The craftspeople who make menorahs have special furnaces that can get super duper hot. We're talking about temperatures hotter than your oven at home. When the metal goes into that furnace, it starts to change. It gets softer and softer, and then it melts. That hard, solid metal turns into a glowing orange liquid puddle. It looks kind of like melted cheese, but way, way hotter. You definitely wouldn't want to touch it. The craftspeople use long tools to stir it and make sure it's melted evenly. They have to be really careful because one tiny splash could be dangerous. That's why they wear special protective gear, like thick gloves and face shields. Okay, let's pause for a second. Time for quiz number 1. What happens to metal when it gets really, really hot? Is it A, it turns into ice? B, it melts and becomes liquid? C, it disappears? Or D, it gets harder? Think about it. The answer is B, it melts and becomes liquid.
Hey! You're watching Goalie's PIP Academy, where we teach about science, geography, history, everything about the whole world. If you want to watch these classes with no ads, no distractions, go to getgoalie.com.
Great job if you got that right. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Once the metal is all melted and gooey, the craftspeople need to turn it into the shape of a menorah. But how do you shape liquid metal? You can't just hold it in your hands. That's where molds come in. A mold is like a special container that has the exact shape you want carved inside it. Think of it like a cookie cutter, but instead of cutting shapes out of dough, you're filling a shape with hot metal. The mold for a menorah is usually made out of sand or special heat-proof materials that won't melt even when super hot metal touches them. The craftspeople carefully pour that glowing liquid metal into the mold. It flows into every little space, filling up all the spots where the menorah's branches will be. You can even hear it sizzling. Then comes the hardest part, waiting. The metal has to cool down and turn solid again. This can take a while, sometimes even a whole day, depending on how big the menorah is. While it's cooling, the metal goes through a magical transformation. It stops glowing orange, it turns darker, and slowly it becomes hard again. But this time, instead of being just a chunk of metal, it's shaped like a menorah. When it's finally cool enough, the craftspeople carefully open the mold and pull out the menorah. It's exciting, kind of like opening a present. But the menorah doesn't look perfect yet. It's rough and gray, with extra bits of metal stuck to it from the mold. It needs a lot more work. Before we talk about making it beautiful, let's count those branches. If you look at a Hanukkah menorah, you'll notice something interesting. Most people think it has 8 branches because Hanukkah lasts for 8 nights. But if you count carefully, there are actually 9 places for candles. What's going on? Well, 8 of those branches are for the 8 nights of Hanukkah. But the 9th one, the one that's usually in the middle or a little higher than the others, is special. It's called the shamash. That's a Hebrew word that means helper or servant. The shamash candle has a very important job. It lights all the other candles. You see, there's a rule during Hanukkah that you're not supposed to use the Hanukkah candles for anything except looking at them and remembering the miracle of Hanukkah. So you can't use them to light each other. That's why you need the shamash. It's the helper candle that does the lighting work. Pretty smart, right? Time for quiz number 2. True or false? A Hanukkah menorah has 9 branches because one candle is the special helper candle called the shamash. What do you think? The answer is true. The shamash is that special helper candle, and that's why there are 9 branches instead of 8. Okay, now let's get back to making our menorah beautiful. Remember, it just came out of the mold looking rough and gray. It definitely doesn't look like something you'd want to put on your table for Hanukkah. This is where the craftspeople become artists. First, they use special tools to file away all those rough edges and extra bits of metal. They smooth out bumps and make sure all the branches are even and clean. This takes a lot of patience and a steady hand. Next comes the fun part, adding decorations. Some craftspeople carve beautiful designs into the metal. They might add flowers, stars, or Jewish symbols like the Star of David. They use tiny chisels and hammers to carefully tap these designs into the metal. Each little mark adds to the beauty. Other craftspeople might add decorations in different ways. Some use stamps to press patterns into the soft metal. Some add little pieces of other metals to create colorful designs. Every menorah can be unique and special. But we're still not done. The menorah needs to shine. This is where polishing comes in. The craftspeople use special polishing compounds and soft cloths to rub the metal over and over again. At first, it might not seem like much is happening, but slowly the metal starts to brighten. It goes from dull gray to shiny silver or golden brass. They keep rubbing and polishing until the menorah gleams like a mirror. Some menorahs get a special coating at the end to help them stay shiny and protect them from getting dull over time. This is kind of like putting a clear coat of nail polish over the metal. And finally, after all that work, melting, pouring, cooling, filing, decorating, and polishing, the menorah is ready. It's transformed from chunks of hard metal into a beautiful, shiny object that families will use to celebrate Hanukkah. Let's do our last quiz. Quiz number 3. After the metal menorah comes out of the mold, what do craftspeople do to make it beautiful? Is it A, paint it with crayons? B, put it in the freezer? C, add decorative designs and polish it until it shines? Or D, cover it with stickers? The answer is C. Add decorative designs and polish it until it shines. Yes! You're doing awesome. So there you have it, friends. Now you know the whole journey of how a menorah is made. It starts as hard chunks of metal, gets melted in a super hot furnace until it's liquid, gets poured into a special mold, cools down into shape, and then gets decorated and polished until it sparkles. And don't forget, it has 9 branches because of that special shamash helper candle. The next time you see a menorah during Hanukkah, you can think about all the work that went into making it. Someone heated metal until it glowed, carefully poured it into a mold, and spent hours making it beautiful. That's pretty amazing. Thanks for learning with us here at PIP Academy. Now you're a menorah making expert.
My mind is blown! Where can I learn more about these videos? Oh yeah, getgoalie.com. There's no ads, there's no junk, just cool stuff for kids and a dedicated tablet. Check it out, getgoalie.com.